anyone and everyone really can experience from the natural approach that chiropractic gives. So that was really my inspiration.
This is the Chiro Inspired Podcast, where chiropractors come to learn, to be empowered, and to be inspired. I'm your host, Dr. Richard Letta. Hey everyone, today's guest is Dr. Brittany Koch. Dr. Brittany and I were both graduates of Northwestern Health Sciences University, and we actually started in the same trimester. We graduated at the same time, and our friendship actually started developing in our last year, where we got to know each other a lot more. And I also got to know her husband as well. But, in that time, Dr. Brittany, if you get to know her, she's just a super chill person. And so is Dr. Frank. They are just some of the most amazing human beings that you will ever meet in your life. Very humble, very hardworking, and very driven to help people through chiropractic. Not only is Dr. Brittany an awesome friend, but she's an awesome mother to her two little boys and an awesome wife to her loving husband, Dr. Frank, who I will actually be interviewing later on in future episodes on this podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Again, this is my very first interview, so you might be hearing some of the ums and awkward pauses, but I think you guys can still get some great value from this episode. And also you might hear that the quality isn't the best, as it was my first time using Skype. But again, as we get more interviews down, you probably hopefully see that and hopefully hear that my interviewing skills get better and the quality of the audio gets better too. So I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Again, this is my guest, Dr. Brittany Koch. Dr. Brittany, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Dr. Brittany Koch and I started in the same trimester at Northwestern Health Sciences University for chiropractic school. And then I would probably say that our friendship didn't probably blossom until later on, like in the later trimesters, would you say? Correct, yeah. Yeah. But ever since then, our friendship has, I'd probably say, blossomed. They're awesome colleagues, her and her husband, Frank. Frank is her husband, who she also practices with, and probably just some of the most humble, chill people you'll ever meet if you ever come across to meeting them. So Dr. Brittany is actually going to be one of my first guests on this podcast. And I wanted to feature her because of just how I've seen her blossom and evolve, and kind of seeing that through school and a little bit more into practice. I just got really inspired to get to know her more and get to know her husband more and actually be amazing colleagues with one another. And so that's why I invited you to this podcast. So thanks again.
Thank you so much. That was really sweet. And obviously the feeling is mutual. I mean, you're a little more studious than I was in the beginning of school. So I think that's why we weren't as connected so early on, but I'm glad that we connected later on. It was good.
Yeah, I am too. Me too. Like I said, like you and Frank are probably the most chill people I know. Super humble, amazing chiropractors. And so let's get started. Brittany, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Tell us a little bit more about your practice, your business, your family. Anything I've mentioned before, feel free to elaborate it on, or mention anything that I didn't.
Yeah, sure. So Dr. Frank and I had intentions of actually going out to Kalispell, Montana to practice when we were done with school. And life kind of threw us a little, an opportunity in our home area, Frank's hometown. Mine is not far from here, however. So we purchased a practice from Frank's old chiropractor and have grown it and made several changes over the last 4 years. And it's really becoming, what we envisioned as a family wellness practice after a lot of grit and challenges along the way, but we're here and we're loving it now. And yeah, along the way, we've had 2 little boys. So we have a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old now. And, you know,
It's
busy is a relative term, I think, but yeah,
yeah,
they keep us
it's
moving.
Frank Jr. and what was the other one's name again?
Edison.
Edison. That's an awesome name.
Yeah, yep.
So classic.
Yeah, they're the Fred and Ed show. So
Yeah, I like it. Can you tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to become a chiropractor? Like, what got you into chiropractic initially?
yeah, so I don't have one of those typical testimonials stories like a lot of chiropractors do. And unfortunately, I'm kind of a little sad about it. I didn't get to experience it myself as a child or even as a young adult. But I was in school at the University of Minnesota-Duluth, studying sports medicine. So I knew I wanted to help people at that time, an active population. But my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, was planning on going to chiropractic school and said, "Hey, check this out." I guess what really resonated with me was the natural approach to healthcare. As a kid, I was really sick myself. I did a lot of shadowing with chiropractors before I went to school, and I saw some awesome changes that babies and kids and just anyone and everyone really can experience from the natural approach that chiropractic gives. So that was really my inspiration.
So you practice right now. I'm assuming just looking off your Instagram, you're focused a lot on like moms, prenatal, pediatric care, correct?
Yeah, yep.
Awesome.
I had one really great internship in school that focused a lot on prenatal care. And so that kind of got me into that realm. And then I got pregnant and had 2 kids myself, and it just continued to blossom. So
Cool.
I love serving that population.
And who was your internship with?
Dr. Carrie Clark
Okay.
out of, she practices in Edina.
Edina, okay.
Yep.
Awesome. And so right now, you said you've had some sort of, you've had lessons throughout practice, and I'm assuming that like everybody else in practice, you've had some struggles. Um, can you let us
Yeah.
know like a little bit more about some of those successes, some of those struggles? What are some of the lessons that you've really learned and taken away? Something that really has been super impactful that we can take away from that.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So, I think determining whether you're buying or starting, there's going to be challenges with either one of those. For us, it was, buying a practice that had its own set of patients and own style of treating, if you will. That was a challenge. And going into that, I guess we weren't really sure where our direction was going, if that's how we wanted things to stay. But after hiring a coach about 6 months into owning our practice, it just opened up our eyes into something that we would have never imagined. So I guess that's the first lesson, but also the best thing that we did was hire a coach. Unfortunately, it was 6 months in, but it's still early enough to make the changes that we wanted to. So yeah, finding good mentors or hiring a coach, I think, is essential. Whether you're buying or starting, there's so much to learn and just things that you wouldn't be necessarily open to if somebody else can kind of lead the way. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I think that's a big thing that gets missed in school. The other thing I was just thinking about too was getting over the scarcity mindset that school can sometimes impose versus abundance, right? I mean, I think we've talked about this a lot. back and forth. But, you go from essentially a broke college student, right? And then you
Yeah.
graduate and you have all of this, student loan debt and all of that. But even so, in chiropractic school, you're getting adjusted, all the time, but you never pay for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, learning quickly that what you do should be valued and there should be an exchange, and being okay with that and deserving of that.
That's huge, that value aspect of things, because you're right. Like, we're in school, we were not having to pay for our adjustments. We were adjusting each other under supervision, of course, right?
Obviously, yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I luckily, when I was like in first or second trimester, I met my mentors, or some people that would be of a mentorship type of person in my life. So I was lucky to have that. And I don't know, it was cool to see, like, if you reflect back and see the evolution of where we were and where we are now, not only as like chiropractors, but as people. It's awesome to see. Um,
Absolutely, yeah.
so tell us what keeps you going. What inspires you every single day, even through the challenges, through the struggles. What keeps you inspired to show up, to serve, and to grind?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, with the way our healthcare system in the U.S. um, and the way that is going, we're seeing, a lot of unhealthy kids and really stressful and dangerous births, I'll say, due to a lot of unnecessary interventions and just a lot of stress being placed on, the whole family unit, but especially mom. So, yeah, obviously my practice is very specific and has its own niche, but that's what keeps me going is, you know, there's so many women out there that need help and need really just support in that, you know, they were designed to be healthy and grow healthy children, and it really does stem from pregnancy, and I think if we can change how pregnancy goes for mom and the delivery, that our kids will ultimately be healthier as well. So that's a big driving force for me.
You've probably seen, like, I've really been big into pediatrics. Like, I think you've done some of the international or the ICPA courses, correct?
Yep.
Especially the Webster one. Yeah. And you kind of see like a lot of what happens throughout the whole family in terms of like prenatal, perinatal, pediatric populations, and even how the father or the man plays a role in that, in
Oh,
the health of the family.
yes.
So that's a huge thing, and that's essentially what keeps me going. I would say, is just trying to see a healthier population. Like, I'm looking outside my window right now, and I'm seeing all these kids playing and falling and running. Um,
Yep.
so, like, they're so innocent in themselves that they're learning and they're trying to thrive through this thing called life. And if we can help them along the way to be the healthiest versions of themselves, the best versions of themselves, I think I know that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, I mean, thrive, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we think about that word very often. It's, we talk a lot about disease states and then, being healthy, but there's a big spectrum, right?
Huge spectrum, huge spectrum. Cool. So where do you see yourself in the near future? Where do you see yourself within chiropractic, and where do you see chiropractic in the near future?
Um, wow. Yeah. I mean, I just want to be rocking a big family practice, seeing hundreds of families a week, and really making chiropractic just, another piece of the puzzle, or I should say, just like brushing your teeth. Like I want chiropractic to be, just something that every family knows to do to be healthy,
Hmm.
and making an impact, in our community, but also in a broader aspect. I don't know how that's going to look like in 5-10 years, but impact is my word for 2019. So I'm
Nice.
just kind of rolling with that.
So let's go with this. If there was one thing you could leave the listeners with, like one thing that you absolutely want to get out of your chest, maybe it's a quote, an affirmation, maybe a life lesson, something that really resonates with you, what's one message that you could leave our guests to inspire them or to at least help them find inspiration within themselves?
The one thing I would say is you don't have to be everything to everyone. That can, you can think about that in every area of your life, but time is essentially limited, right? I mean, you can think of, you only have so much time on this earth, so you want to follow your passions, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
if you try to be everything to everyone and cater to everyone, I don't think there's that fulfillment. And that's really, at the end of the day, if you're not fulfilled, it doesn't matter how many patients you see, how much money you make, or how fit you are. If you're not fulfilled, I don't think it matters, right?
Huge. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. So you don't have to be everything to everyone. That's huge because I used to be that one person. Or, you know what? I still am sometimes.
Yeah.
And you
It's a
kind of
work
have
in
to,
progress.
yeah, and you kind of have to remind yourself that you're not going to be their cup of tea. You're not going to be liked by everybody. You're going to have your opinions, your beliefs, the way you do things, and there's at least going to be one person that's not going to like it.
I think
That's
as a young doc too, that's really hard to get past in
yeah,
the first couple of years. You want to see every patient, you want every new patient to sign up, you want to do everything that you can possibly imagine to get them better. But yeah, you can really, I, I think it's very exhausting if you do that for a long period of time.
I would say really, really exhausting because I'm someone, and I think a lot of us are that we dwell on some of the negatives that might happen in maybe practice or in our lives. And then your mind constantly goes to that, and you need this little reminder, like, hey, it's going to be okay. You're not everybody's cup of tea again. There's
Mm-hmm.
more people to help, and there's more people that need your help, that need you to speak to them, to talk to them, to serve them. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. Well, let's do this. Let's leave the listeners with a couple of things, if you will. Are there any resources you would direct the listeners to pick up, to watch, or to listen to?
Um, I love podcasts, which is another reason I was super excited for you to ask me to come on. But I don't know if you've heard of Ed Milet, but he does a lot of personal development. He has his podcast. I think it's called the Ed Milet Show.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like him. He's super inspiring and realistic as well. Um, I also like The Gold Digger. That's hosted by Jenna Kutcher. That's another podcast. The Kiddo Cast is really great too for more chiropractic related content. And I'm a big fan of audiobooks too, just because of time and I can do the mundane tasks, if you will, while growing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Rich Dad Poor Dad, we talked about the abundance mindset that kind of gets at that. I really like that one. Start with that why and Think and Grow Rich. I guess those are my top
Nice.
books.
I've
Yeah.
read all of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
And I think you could reread them and
yeah,
still learn new things or implement them better, at least, right?
absolutely. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of the first books we read in Cairo school, right? For
It
business.
was. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And it was, yeah, such a great book. Like I still listen to Robert Kiyosaki all the time when it comes to finances. So,
Yep. Yeah. Those are a few of the many, right?
yeah. And then let's do this. Let's do what has been the best advice that you've ever received? That'll be our last question.
Yeah. So this kind of touches on what I was saying before about the fulfillment, but one of our most recent coaching calls, we talk a lot about finances and strategies and marketing and a lot of tactical things, right?
Mm.
But, this is the first time, as Dan Sullivan actually, he said, okay, those things are great, but are you fulfilled? And, we listen to tons of personal development all the time and, read all these great books and things like that. But again, at the end of the day, it's about fulfillment. And I think that's something that we need to reevaluate daily or weekly, and in the things that we're spending time on, that they're, leading us to what we want life to look like.
Mm-hmm. This might be a little deeper, but what does fulfillment mean to you?
Oh, shoot. I should have seen this coming, but I totally didn't. For me right now, I don't believe in balance, because I think that you're always going to have a little more focus on certain areas, and I've learned to accept that after being a mom for almost 3 years now. But having time with my boys and time at work, I like to really delineate that, because I feel more focused and that fulfills me more. So yeah, time with my boys and spending time at work with the people that I enjoy the most serving, and traveling. We love to travel. So I guess, that would be my idea of fulfillment, is just creating the practice that I want with the people that I want there, getting to spend, time with my boys and getting to show them the world.
I love it. Doc, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for chatting with me and asking me to be on here.
Yeah, I might have to have you and Frank on together at some point, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
Or I might ask Frank to do this on his own, and I might have you on again, if that's cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
But for our listeners, everything in the show notes that we discussed with Dr. Brittany, any resources she's recommended, I'll have in the show notes as well. And I look forward to, like legit and truly look forward to seeing you guys again, because it's super fun when I'm with you guys. So
yeah,
awesome.
We'll have to plan another seminar to meet up at.
Absolutely. Maybe Parker or Cal Jam again.
Yes, so that sounds great.
Awesome. Okay, tell Frank I say hi.
I will.
And I'll
keep rocking
again. Yeah, thanks, friend. I'll see ya.
Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the Chiro Inspired podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please take some time to rate and review this on iTunes or wherever you're listening. If you know a friend or colleague who you think may get value from this episode or podcast, please feel free to share this with them. My goal is to always provide you with value and to leave you inspired. I believe that inspiration is all around us, but more importantly, first comes from within us. We are all a source of inspiration for others and also for ourselves. If you have any suggestions or know anyone who would be a great guest, please feel free to email me or connect with me at www.drletta.com. I look forward to connecting with you. So until next time, this is Dr. Rich. Peace out.